I love goofy wrestling. I don't actually know what it means, but essentially, when sports entertainment decides to go totally off the rails and becomes ridiculous, I'm a happy panda. It's just the best. So to celebrate the fact goofy wrestling is for life, here are 10 of the very best examples. And yes, of course, I will have forgotten loads. That's what the comments are for. Drop them below. Number 10, R-Truth in general. This man is a damn hero. While R-Truth has always been an excellent performer who found some real success as the TNA World Champion back in the day, when it became clear he needed to do something different to stand out in WWE, he just went nuts. Be it thinking he was in the Money in the Bank match before realizing he wasn't, entering the Royal Rumble with the goal to eliminate Paul Heyman, and then finding out it was Brock Lesnar he'd be facing, so swiftly unannouncing himself, or bringing a ladder into the Royal Rumble because he got the stipulation wrong. Truth is simply the best. He also made the 24/7 title worthwhile even when clearly nobody else cared. And do not forget little Jimmy. That imaginary guy often convinced Truth not to get into fights, and he didn't even exist. In many ways, you could crown Ron Killings the king of goofy wrestling. That man just totally gets it, and I love him. Number 9, Santino Marella can't pronounce people's names. I mean, surely Santino is a close second to Truth for all of this. And hell, maybe he's number 1. Dude was hilarious. It's even better because he debuted as a serious MMA dude until Marella decided it was much easier to put a cobra on his hand and just karate poke people. Santino would also snake charm individuals with that thing, and of course couldn't get anybody's name right. John Cena, the Honky Tonky Man, Rodney the Piper, Baptista, Golden Dust. Could honestly do this all day and I'd never stop smiling. He would also celebrate like he'd won the lottery even if he got a victory by countout, and that fake trombone stuff. My word, it was glorious. So he is another man I shall adore forever because he just understood it. And don't tell me funny doesn't mean money. Remember when it was him and Daniel Bryan in the final of that Elimination Chamber and everybody wanted Santino to win? That doesn't just happen, and it was all because of this. Number 8, the best friends aren't sure. Trent and Chuck rule. Not only are they always on hand to have a great match because they're reliable Richards, but they really do make the most of their minutes. For example, before a big old tag team match earlier this year when we got the usual promo video with everybody telling us how they were going to win, the best friends took a very different approach. Because they weren't sure. Yep, they could promise us a big win, but that may not happen, so therefore they were just going to try their best. But again, maybe that wouldn't be enough. This wrestling stuff is hard. Around this time, Chucky T and Trent were also livid because they couldn't use chainsaws in a match, and man, it is so true. Everybody else brings crazy weapons into matches. Why not an item of death? We are just scratching the surface here because these two have been doing it for years, and I really do appreciate it. And you want to know why? Sometimes I just want to laugh. Number 7, The Price is Raw. The guest host era for Raw was the definition of hit and miss. Do you remember when Jeremy Piven turned up and most definitely did not want to be there? If not, good. Keep it that way. At times, WWE got it right though, and it was no better than in 2009 when Bob Barker turned up to play The Price is Right. The rumor beforehand was everybody expected him to not get it, but nope. Bob was a total pro, played his role to perfection, and even started an all-time feud with Chris Jericho, who came out bare-chested with his name tag still attached to his pecs. Hero. Barker also ruined him by sarcastically congratulating Jericho when he finally decided to talk, and sent him away as soon as he accidentally said the number 1. Bob decided that was his bid. Now, yes, a lot of this segment is also difficult because you have to sit through that stupid singing gimmick we gave to Jillian Hall, but that's what makes the Bob Jericho stuff twice as good. They basically saved an entire chunk of Raw and did it while playing the whole thing super seriously. Only in wrestling. Number 6, Booker T and Stone Cold Steve Austin fight in a grocery store. I mean, this was so absurd. Booker T ran away to a supermarket trying to escape the clutches of Steve Austin when Stone Cold found him and made food quips the entire time. If anybody else had done it, the internet would have roasted them. As ever though, because they threw themselves into it, the whole thing has become part of wrestling folklore, to the point people still talk about this today. For example, price check on Jackass is one of the most ludicrous things ever said. A major reason I wanted to get it in here though is because it proves that serious and goofy wrestling can coexist. Austin never did anything unless he believed in it, and Booker T is secretly the funniest dude ever. Do you remember King Booker? He got it too. An underrated highlight is the rattlesnake telling Book to look at the pretty flowers before hurling him into the arrangement. And do not forget, this was at the height of the Attitude Era too. Number 5, just Kurt Angle. Yep, just Kurt Angle. Austin actually does get brought back in here too, because the peak of the Olympic gold medalist's nonsense was when he and Stone Cold were best enemies and trying to win the affections of Vince McMahon. Kurt, despite all his legitimacy, was more than happy to be the butt of the joke too, as he wore stupid cowboy hats, wanted badges, and even dressed up like Biker Taker. The man didn't care as long as it was entertaining. This was also around the time Austin was playing his unhinged character during the invasion and did that backstage segment where he repeated everything McMahon said as if he was making it be even more impactful. Not only does Kurt sell that like we're watching the birth of a new world, but Stone Cold even breaks The Undertaker. I mean, go watch the clip. The dead man has to cover his face to stop laughing. Angle also did that whole story where he wore a fake wig after being shaved bald, and when he was exposed, reacted like he'd been shot. In many ways, he is the perfect pro wrestler. Number 4, halftime heat. This proved how much of a pass the Attitude Era gets. One of the most memorable moments ever was The Rock and Mankind fighting for the WWF title in an empty arena. Now, this was basically a giant advert because it aired during the Super Bowl halftime, but have you seen this recently? It is utterly stupid in the best possible way. I mean, The Rock is eating grapefruit and spitting it out because it's mild, and getting confused as to what inanimate objects are because they're just scattered around the place. He even grabs Mick Foley's face and presses it into an oven grill, complete with over-the-top burning sound effects. And nope, that thing is most definitely not turned on. The Great One also answers the phone and has fake phone calls, and I tell you, if we did this today, all the wrestling can't be silly naysayers would be out in force, but this is over-the-top madness. It's also why it rules, and even though that last shot of The Rock's face takes it a little too far, it all does tie in. The People's Champion lost his belt because Mankind got in a forklift and crushed his chest, which the referee decided to count as a pin. That is absolute nonsense. Let's do it again. Number 3, MJF and Adam Cole love to hate each other. So I am throwing this in there as it shows that even in 2023 you can do it. You've just got to believe. When MJF and Adam Cole did get thrown together in the blind eliminated tag team tournament though, it made sense. They had just fought for the AEW World title, and this would allow them to extend that feud after they went to a draw. Let's spice things up. What we didn't intend for is that they would go pure goofy wrestling. I mean, since they've hooked up, they've acted like the double clothesline is the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, hung out and yelled at people in a gym, visited an Outback Steakhouse because they were facing Aussie Open, and decided a kangaroo kick is the only way to beat Australians in wrestling. Cole even rented Crocodile Dundee. The pair also went back to 80s wrestling for their matches too, and what was the result? Some of the best ratings AEW has done in ages. As of me recording this, we don't know the outcome of it all, but I would just merge them into one wrestler and let them be together forevermore. I just want more silliness, please, and not just because it's fun. It's made me like them more as people, which has got to be the whole idea to begin with. Number 2, the final deletion. Nothing in recent memory has split fans more than this. Such was the hype Matt Hardy caused with his cinematic matches, John Cena even demanded to see it during a WWE tour. From there, Cena would have hourly viewings to show the rest of the crew. That does not just happen. Even individuals here at What Culture weren't sure what to make of it, which is a nice reminder that we are all unique human beings and we like different things. As you may have guessed it though, I thought this was absolutely amazing, and the Broken Matt character should be shoved in some sort of goofy wrestling hall of fame. Not only was it just the equivalent of taking drugs and watching some grappling, but the insider jokes were out of control. The man with 3 H's will forever be the best way to describe Triple H. It's not like Matt was just mucking around either, as this brought people in to watch TNA, and it likely resulted in one of their most successful periods. It is a shame that Vince McMahon didn't get it because the sheer levels we could have taken it to, but still. Got that brawl with a New Day, and yes, I loved that as well. As Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston and Big E have come up too, they absolutely deserve a shout out because my word, they have embraced goofiness since day one. The trio used it so well they managed to switch from heels to faces on a dime, so it's just a big love in for all of these guys. Thank you for bringing me so much joy. Number 1, the main event switcheroo. So as we have said, if you are a main event wrestler, apparently you gotta be serious. Nobody will buy into you if you take yourself lightly, so you gotta growl all the time. I disagree. Now, of course you have to do this if you're on the cusp of a major match, but otherwise, wrestling never ends, so you can't just do that all the time. It's stupid. Therefore, look at this. We've had Sting dressing up like Sting, only to take a mask off and reveal that it is Sting. The Rock acting like the Hurricane was an actual superhero as he flew off into the apparent skies. Triple H losing his mind that Kofi Kingston's accent vanished. The Bloodline cracking up over Sami Zayn's use of the term Usi. Austin dishing out cuddles like they were stunners. Jericho's long list of moves. And hey, even the whole premise of Arcade Bro. They don't work unless they do ham it up, and Randy Orton is seen as a mega top guy. It doesn't always click, as getting Goldberg to wear a wig is among the most stupid ideas ever, but there's a flip side to this. Boombox Brock Lesnar. Remember that? The most legit dude in all of WWE, winning the Money in the Bank and treating the briefcase like it was a speaker. I mean, the man even danced. I am happy to tell you that made me love Lesnar even more, which once again sums it up. Nobody should take themselves too seriously in the world of madness. It's far better to choose option 2, goofy wrestling for life. Do you know of any other moments that were most definitely goofy wrestling for life, which is an absolutely ridiculous thing of me to say? Well, make sure you leave us a comment below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then click the video on the screen, which will likely be another list so you can hear me shout at you some more. Head over to whatculture.com, follow us on social media, and mostly remember that if something does entertain you in wrestling, then all is right with the world. Ignore the negative Nancys and just continue onwards as you are.